If you're in cybersecurity or trying to break in, something just happened that changed the entire cybersecurity industry. Last week or so, an AI found security vulnerabilities on its own that had been hiding for 27 years. Maybe you heard about it. Then it wrote the exploits, no human involved, published research, and hard evidence on it. How we defend, how we test, what skills matter to you and to me, none of it stays the same after this, and you need to understand why. And what you do next decides whether you're ahead of it or your skills are redundant in months. I'm Nathan from StationX. I've spent 30 years in cybersecurity and helped over 500,000 people build careers in this field, and it's all changing now. I was around when the internet came and changed the cybersecurity industry the first time. This is that kind of shift, but I think perhaps maybe even bigger. Anthropic, the company behind Claude, published research on a model called Mythos Preview. And I'll link to the paper in the description. They pointed it at real production code, not test environments, not capture the flag challenges, software that runs the internet, real stuff. And it found zero-day vulnerabilities in every major operating system and every major web browser. A 27-year-old bug in OpenBSD, a 17-year-old bug in FreeBSD, full root access. No login needed from anywhere on the internet. Then it wrote the exploits. On its own. And the cost, how much does this sort of thing cost? Well, right now, it's a few $1,000s, which is nothing for companies and especially for governments, but it's going to be falling fast, isn't it? Within a year, how much will it be? Maybe $100, maybe a few dollars. This is the part that really matters. Nobody trained the AI to do this. These capabilities emerged from making AI better at reasoning and at coding. And these are deterministic tasks that it's going to get way, way better at. Which means this isn't about this one model. It's not about Mythos. This is the direction of all frontier AI models and all the copying models that copy the frontier models. The last generation of AI managed to do this twice out of hundreds of attempts. Now, this generation, 181 times. So what we're seeing is that's a phase change. And it happened in months. If you're interested, by the way, in cutting edge information on cybersecurity like this, because I've got a load of super interesting videos that you absolutely need to listen to, like, and subscribe that are coming very, very soon. So that's what's happened. But what does it actually mean? All of this ability of AI to be super fast at breaking into stuff. What's broken? Well, for 20 years, cybersecurity it operated in a stable equilibrium. New attacks, they were, of course, new defenses, but the fundamental model stayed much the same. The model is now broken. It is broken. So let's talk through the consequences. First, friction-based defense, dead. It's over. Most security mitigations don't stop attacks. They make attacks tedious, too expensive, too resource intensive. It requires high-level intelligence, tools, etc. That theory is simple. If it takes a skilled researcher weeks or lots of money to chain many vulnerabilities together, most attackers won't bother. That's in the area of advanced persistent threats, governments, etc. This AI chained for vulnerabilities in a web browser fully autonomously. this new AI that came out. So the new ones are going to be able to do the same. So when tedium costs a few $100s or less, obviously in the future, friction isn't a defense anymore. Only hard barriers are going to survive in cybersecurity. So think cryptography, think memory safety, things that are actually currently impossible to break through those methods, not just annoying. Second, the patch window is going to collapse. When a CVE gets published, there's a window, isn't there, before systems get updated. Historically, turning a CVE into a working exploit, it took days. It could take weeks. That window was your safety margin, wasn't it? But this AI, future AIs, took the known patched vulnerabilities and turned them into working exploits in under a day. And it won't be under a day anymore, will it? It will become in minutes. If you're patching in months in the future or very, very soon, it's going to be too late. So that's that. Third, look at what's happening to specific cybersecurity job roles. And I'm just talking about cybersecurity here, but in tech, it's the same trends. So I built a website, an app called jobzonerisk.com that scores how resistant any job is across the entire economy using this methodology to AI displacement. So 0's bad and 100 is good in terms of how AI is going to affect the roles. Let's look at junior pen testers. 6 out of 100. SOC analysts, tier 1, that's 5 out of 100. Deep red zone displacement. And then if we go up in terms of seniority, mid-level pen tester, 35 out of 100 because the tasks change, yellow zone, and it's transforming. You can check any job across the entire economy at jobzonerisk.com. Check out your job. You should. It's important. Tens of thousands of sources are being constantly looked at in order to get the latest information on legislative change, technology change, like we're talking about now. So check that out. It's completely free. So the old model of cybersecurity is breaking. But cybersecurity isn't over, definitely not over. It just is going to work differently now. The future, it's not about less security, it's actually more security, but done completely differently. We need the same stuff, we just need it done in a different way and faster. Defense has to happen at machine speed. That's where the future is. AI against AI, machine speed. When attackers go from CVE to working exploit in hours, you can't defend with quarterly pen tests, can you? Or monthly patches. Continuous automated scanning is what you're going to need daily on every commit. That's going to be the new baseline. Anything less, and you're hoping nobody notices you before the next patch cycle. And of course, that's not going to happen either because you're going to have AI looking for things all the time, automated and at scale. So AI is going to become the primary security operator. Models doing triage, investigation, initial incident response, not as a nice to have, as the only way to handle the future, to handle the volume, to handle the scale. More vulnerabilities found means more exploits attempted, means more incidents. Human-only SOC teams, they can't scale to that. It's not possible. The teams that survive run models for first pass work. Humans for judgment calls. But here's what most people are going to miss, I think. Defenders, we've got the structural advantage in this new paradigm. An attacker has to figure out the target from scratch, find the bug, write the exploit, get it working. A defender has the source code, already has access, already knows how it's built, has constant access to it. So they can find the same bugs faster and fix them immediately. We may get to a place where the software is fairly solid, but the thing is, things are always changing, aren't they? And with AI, the way we're going to change our systems is going to be much, much faster. So it's not like we're just going to end up with this perfect software because of AI and then nothing happens. That would only be in certain specific niche areas. It's still going to move fast, so then it's going to introduce problems and vulnerabilities that we're going to need to continuously detect. So the defender is probably going to have an advantage. The defender wins in this situation, but only if you're moving, we're moving at machine speed. Do it manually and you've given up the one advantage that you actually had as the defender. And this is what I call the transition for what people are going to be doing. I call it AI-driven engineering, but just applied to cybersecurity in this case. And I made a video on that, on AI-driven engineering. I'll link to that at the end, or it'll be in the description. But the core idea is this. The real skill isn't using an AI tool per se. It's building AI infrastructure, harnesses, etc., tools, solutions that get better with every run. Running a vulnerability scanner once is the security equivalent of vibe coding. Building a system that continuously scans, learns from false positives, improves its detection, that's AI-driven security engineering. The researchers who published this paper, by the way, their own pipeline works exactly this way. Simple setup on the surface, but underneath, the way it picks which files to check, the way it validates findings, the way it runs thousands of checks at once, that's infrastructure, not a tool. And the uncomfortable truth, I'm afraid, people are going to lose their jobs. A lot of people. This is an arms race. Everything that can be automated on the attack side will be. And in fact, the whole of AI is an arms race. Anyway, so it means everything on the defense side has to be automated too, doesn't it? So if your job is doing something that a model can do, if it's part of a standard operating procedure, you write it down, triaging alerts, running scanners, writing reports, that job is going. It has to go because otherwise it will not compete with the attacks. So not transforming, those jobs have to go. And perhaps in cybersecurity, faster because of the imperative of the attacker. What replaces it is the AI-driven engineer, in my opinion. The person who builds the systems that defend at computer speed and maintain them and continue to engineer those solutions that are required that give you those computer speed solutions to attacks. So this is going to happen actually really to every computer-based job eventually. But security is where it's happening first because it is that arms race. The attackers have already started with this, with the automation. So what do you actually do about this if you're on the defensive side? What are the obvious conclusions from this? Okay, this is important. Start using AI for security now, okay? Don't wait. Current models already find critical vulnerabilities. The workflows you build today get dramatically more powerful when stronger models arrive. You've got to shorten your patch cycles. Treat every CVE fix as urgent. Auto update wherever you can. automate your incident response. You can't staff your way through the volume that's going to come. Models need to be doing the triage and the initial response. Think beyond finding bugs, config reviews, PR review, patching, compliance. Everything you're doing manually is a candidate for automation. And not really a candidate, it's a requirement for automation because of what the attacker will become. And every one of those requires the same thing. It requires someone who can build AI-driven security systems, doesn't it? Because it's going to be about very custom solutions for specific scenarios and to dynamically respond to how you're being attacked. That's the future of this industry of cybersecurity. Not people who run tools, but people who build the tools, people who build the systems that can react at computer speed. Everyone else is competing with a model that costs a few $100s a day. And the question is, which side of that you're going to be on? And you need to decide that now, because the dice are rolling. It is here. I'm telling you. Okay, so you can't say you were not warned. If you want to learn how to do AI-driven engineering, I will teach you. Subscribe, watch the next video that I'm going to link to because it will be about this. And good luck to us all.